live with Tao, the middle path. Buddha introduced the middle path known as Majjhima Nikaya in Pali language. There are two extremes. There are people who go to the mountain caves and thus they close themselves. Instead of going deep within, they have closed that door and they prefer to go to the Himalayan mountains or caves or in monasteries. They are just like you standing in a reverse position. You are fixed with the objects and they are fixed with subject. You have fixed, one is fixed with the outer, so he goes to the mountain or caves, and the other moves to the object. Neither you are free nor the other because you cannot be free with one. You have to go beyond the duality. Neither the inner nor the outer, neither the subject nor the object. How the subject and object interact with one another, and there is a process which is more important. Buddha used to say that his path is the middle path. It has not been really understood why he insisted so much on calling it as the middle path. This is the reason, because his whole process was of mindfulness. You are sitting in meditation, your doors are open, any thought, any emotion, any feeling can come in. So you are bothered with the thoughts coming into you or feelings or anything like that coming into you. So you choose to go somewhere else, to some other cave, to some other monastery. But you have that, you carry that monastery, that cave deep within you. You have to close that door through which the feelings, the objects and something comes into you. And when that stops, you don't need to go anywhere. You are creating a balance between the two. Buddha says, do not leave the world. Wherever you go, if you are worried about the duality of these, the many problems that one faces, the husband, the wife, the sex, the money or anything, you leave these in order to find solace. You will not find. You have to be in the world, but within the cave, that you close the door so that those things do not disturb you anymore. In simple terms, this is what it is. Do not leave the world, and at the same time do not cling to the other world. So there are those who cling to the other world, they leave this world and go to the mountains and caves. Rather, be in between is the Buddha's way. Do not leave one extreme and move to the other extreme. Just be in the middle, because in the middle it is the point where the two nullify one another. And you remember, there are two extremes. Current is two extremes. The current that is coming from outside and the one that is provided within, that is the negative pole. And when these two neutralize one another, there is illumination. So this is, when they neutralize one another, this is the state of being in balance. Do not leave, the positive is one extreme, so you cannot move to that side or to this side. Just in the middle, you are free. And when the two neutralize one another, just in the middle, there is no duality, there is oneness, there is harmony, and then nothing can disturb you. And the duality has become just the extension of you, just the two wings. Buddha's middle path is based on this technique. It is beautiful. For so many reasons, it is beautiful. The first is, it is very scientific. Have you seen a tightrope walker? The rope, to walk on the rope is very difficult. He can walk on the rope and maintain the balance by leaning to either side. Sometimes he leans towards the left side, other times he leans to the right, and he has a pole in his hand. So this pole connects to the ground and he is holding in his hand. He leans towards the left or to the right. It is very scientific because only between the two there can be a balance. If you are making a mixture, there are things used, sugar and salt. If there is too much salt, it will not be tasty. If there is too much sugar, it will not be tasty. When it is the two balance one another, and when two balance one another, another taste comes in. Whatsoever you do, whether it is sourness, whether it is sweet and sour, that's what we use the word. So in between, you can create a balance. If there is only one point, imbalance is bound to be there. So Buddha says that those who are worldly, whose focus is completely on the world, just like anything else, they are imbalanced. And those who have renounced the world and prefer to go to monasteries or mountains or caves, they are again imbalanced. This is the other extreme. A balanced man is one who is neither in this extreme, this side or that side. He creates a balance between the two. He lives just in the middle. You cannot call him worldly and you cannot call him the otherworldly either. Because where else would you live? You will live in the world, and while living in the world, you practice the beyondness. You cannot call him worldly, you cannot call him the otherworldly. He is free to move to any side. He is not attached to this or that. He has come to the middle point, and that is called the golden mean. That is called the golden mean. So this is where, when I point out, when you are cooking, and when you are cooking meditatively, you are engaging in your business you are talking to a customer, you are talking to an employee, and you are creating a balance. How the balance is created? The other world is the world of compassion, love, harmony, beyond the duality. So the first thing is you have to understand to create, you are in the business, for instance. So there is a duality between employee and employer. Then there is a duality between the employee or the sales representative or the salesperson and the customer. And this duality remains as the guiding force as you interact with that customer. When you are in the office, you are employee and the other is employer. But both are working for one common factor. Both are needing the fulfillment in life. So they are dependent on one another. You may be a salesman, you may be the owner of the business, but you cannot run the business. This is, you are one extreme, and the other extreme is the customer. When the two reach the common point where you are fulfilled, the customer is fulfilled, is the middle point. And that is the point that Buddha is talking about. First thing is, when a person comes in, you may be driving, being the owner, a Mercedes-Benz or BMW or any kind of a car. You may be dressed much better than the other. But you remember, you're this Mercedes-Benz, you're this high-profile vehicle, the residence living style is guided by your energy, your resources comes from the customer who does not have the high-profile vehicle or high-profile lifestyle, but he contributes a single dollar. And that single dollar, when adds up, it becomes $100, and that becomes the sale for the day. So it is not the person who spends thousands of dollars or the one who spends a minimum $10. Both are playing an important role, and for you, both should be important. It's not that when this is what happens in the temples, when you can, those who can give high amount of charities, they are known as VIPs, and they are given a special preference, a special consideration than those who cannot. When you go to a musical concert, there are those, the special seats, places are made for those who can spend more money than the other. So middle path means you realize that you as an employer and the employee both carry the same energy field, both work on the same principle, both come to the same office for their own income. Yes, your salary may be less than the other. That's a different matter. This depends on your input into the business. You are as a salesman, you're standing as a salesperson in a supermarket or in any other place. You cannot survive without the customers coming into you. And the customers cannot obtain the fulfillment without the business being there. So both are partners in an equal profession. This is the first criteria. If you do not handle your customers in a better way, in a harmonious manner, that customers feels respected, then he will not come back to you. So in order to have the fulfillment, can you overlook the customer? Or the customer can overlook the business? Or the employee can overlook the employer and employer can overlook the employee? Both are together in this process. So you have to understand this and interact that way. So what is there the common factor? There are certain roles that you have to perform, certain things you have to perform, and then you reach to the middle path. So you don't need, so when you are treating the person with this understanding that you and that person are carrying the same current, both the bulbs may have a different illumination, but both are working on the same principle. The positive current comes from the outside, the negative is provided by the innerness. And so whether it is a green bulb, that is a different part. A green bulb, it is made to reflect the quality of the green, green light. It's a filter. It can have another filter, it may not have a filter, so it will radiate or manifest amber light or green light or blue light. That can be the difference. But there is no difference between the principle on which is working. You may be reflecting or manifesting a different radiation, employee can be different, the customer can do a different, the salesperson can do different, but both are operating the same principle. So that means you are creating a balance, and for that person doesn't need to go to the caves or leave this outer world and go to the other extreme, retire in the mountains or monasteries or somewhere else. If you are at peace within yourself, what happens on a day-to-day basis? We interact with objects and beings. It can be a particular product, it can be a particular person. So two possibilities exist always, like or dislike. If the person that you are meeting, you like him, you dislike him, you feel a kind of a weight on your heart. And then it creates a discomfort or restlessness within you. And this restlessness creates another thing into you. You lose your peace of mind because you have not accepted the person in its totality. You have not gone beyond the duality. You like something, you dislike something else. So this is how we remain guided by the duality. The moment you realize that there is no other, it is an extension of you. The customer is an extension of the owner of the business. The other extreme, you cannot move to this or to that. Both are not antagonistic, but an equal partner in the same process, because both are working. The employer is working, the customer is coming for one common goal, to through their interaction between the two, they get a certain amount of resources which are necessary, like the employer, the salesman gets his commission or salary, and the customer gets the products that he needs to have fulfillment or satiation. So then you are in the middle path. You don't need to go to the mountain. You don't need to go to anywhere else. But if you feel that you cannot talk to an ordinary person, ordinary customer or ordinary employer, ordinary employee because you are too high and he is too low. There is nothing like low and high. This is the division created by the mind, the duality, the conflict created by the mind. Yes, the roles are different, but each role is not that the one who peels the vegetable or works as an assistant in the kitchen is less important than the main chef. They are trained for their specific work, and when they work in harmony with one another, a dish is prepared. This we have to understand, that the assistant who helps, a helper in the kitchen, and the main chef, and that main chef, the helper does his work, he did his preparation, gave you the things. If he has not done his job properly, the chef will not be able to do what he need to do. Using those ingredients, create a palatable dish. And then when the chef is finished, he passes on to those who do the plating. And then waiter carries it to the dining table, to the customer. So all these are part of one process. So once we understand this process, then life becomes easier, and then you are in the middle path. You do not consider middle path is necessary when you condemn or prefer one for the other. The moment you realize the assistant, the helper, the main chef, the plater, the waiter are all part of the process that creates the dish and serves. You can create a dish. The assistant, the helper can make the preparation, but if the chef is not doing his job, then the dish will not be prepared. And if the helper and the chef has done their work, but the one who plates it has not done his work, then the product will not reach the customer who has ordered it. And when it does not reach the customer, how can he pay you the money? When you are working in a supermarket, you have placed your products displayed in a proper way. It is properly displayed with all that is necessary. It attracts the people. Somebody buys it, he brings it to the cashier, you cash it, and you collect the money, you carry the money at the end of the day to balance the cash. This goes to the bank, the whole process continues. So once you understand this process, you are helping one another, and in a way you are in the middle path. This example I took in order to explain the deeper meaning of the inner path. You are in the world, but your approach is not that of the worldly. Worldly means the approach of conflict, the approach of duality, the disturbance, the conflict. And the other world means the oneness, harmony. So when you operate into the world with harmony, oneness, and oneness in many ways. Oneness is not simply, it is multidimensional. Harmony is multidimensional. Then you don't need to leave the world to go in the mountains or anywhere. Wherever you are the temple. You are the temple. Temple means a place of harmony, a place of oneness, where you feel at peace, comfort, harmonious, and you can attain to that state wherever you are. If you create a division that this is good, this is bad, or this is low, that is high, then you are creating conflict within you, and then you need to go to the mountain or anywhere. So wherever you are at peace, peace within, peace without. You are in harmony within and without. There is no conflict within or without. You are restful. Then why do you need to go for a holiday to take a rest? Every day you can be restful. You are visiting. Those who leave the world to go to other places for prayers, for worship, or for any other reason, that is wrong. If you are happy within and then you want to go, then that is no problem. But just by condemning this, you go to the other place, you will remain in conflict with the other. Same thing arises if you feel that this particular person has make your life miserable, and with that feeling, when you enter into another relationship, you are bound to carry that misery, that unfulfillment into the other relationships. And this is how the life goes on. Enough for now.